All right, so you start with your white charcoal and point up there. You're looking at this form and you're breaking it down into a compound shape, which requires shape simplification. And shape simplification means reducing the primary forms into masses that are either cylindrical, planar, or spherical. You can also look for things like cones, triangles, any kind of basic geometry. So with the back of the cow skull, I've got kind of a boxy, planar shape. You could also think of it as a circular form or an oval form, because an oval and a horizontal rectangle have the same kind of height and width proportions. And then you've got maybe a triangular form at the top, along there. I see this tooth area as a kind of boxy form as well. Can you guys kind of see that as you're looking at that form? Now with the human skull, it's more of an egg shape, and I'm looking at where it's touching here and where it's touching here, and I'm basically just going to have an oval kind of form. I can see the back of the table there. Some drapery here. I don't like how that drapery is corresponding with the edge of the skull, so I might lean it so that it's being overlapped by the skull. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm just going to delete the horn coming in from the right, just for simplification's sake. So I've got this drapery kind of expanding here. We can maybe deal now with some of the secondary aspects. And of course, as we move into the shape itself, we can start to look for how to break down some of these secondary shapes. So the oculus, which is what the eyeball fits in, is basically a circle. When we're looking at this skull, we have to remember the skull is not sitting on the neck like this. The skull is leaning back like that, because the back of the cranium is above the bottom of the jaw. Here's the back of the cranium, here's the bottom of the jaw. So if I have no neck, the 2 points of contact would be the back of the cranium and the jaw, and that's going to throw off proportions a little bit. So if you look at the oculi, which are the two surfaces in which the eyeball pivots, the distance between the center of the oculi and the chin is longer than the center of the oculi and the top of the head. If you're looking at the skull straight on, the center of the eye will be equidistant from the bottom of the skull, the chin, and the top of the head. I.e., when you're drawing a person from a frontal point of view and their head is not leaning back or looking down, the eyes are going to be in the exact center between the top of the head and the bottom of the chin. Now, you have some height in your hair, so obviously that's not the top of your skull. So you have to visualize as if you didn't have hair. Same with you. I mean, obviously has a little bit of hair except for me, right? So mine would be much easier to proportionately locate. But you know, your hair is taller than your hair because your hair is pulled back and long. Does that make sense to everybody? So long story short, these oculi are going to be high. You have to visualize them as being higher up on the head. Now, I'm missing the side of the face here because I haven't gotten into the true contours of this form yet, but we'll get there. So here, this could probably extend out a little bit. And I'm just grafting better contour lines. That needs to move down. That's going to enable me to see. I think I need to move this up, which is going to move these up. And that way I'll be able to see more of the side of the face there. You see how like I'm shifting stuff spatially. I'm still essentially following the map that I created with those primary forms. But because this is too high, I'm not going to be able to have the jaw. Does that make sense? So I need to move things down. And of course, as I'm doing this, I'm trying to be more cognizant of those relationships and be more perfectionistic about what I'm seeing in this moment of overlap. One thing that you'll notice is like you can see the side of the head here, right? And you can't see the side of the head here. So what does that mean for those oculi? They need to move to the left. Does that make sense? So I need to reduce the space. And while I'm doing that, I might as well do what? Start to get more involved in the secondary aspect of those contours, which are more squarish. Look at how the nose, the top of the nasal cavity, is above the bottom of the eyes. Does everybody see that? And we've got these cheekbones here. And then side of this here, still too high. Okay. All right. So the point that I'm trying to make is that this initial phase of finding the primary and the secondary forms is very malleable. So let's to move forward. I think that this is a little bit longer in this direction than it is high. So you may want to take your photo once you've done the 16:9 and reduce the height just a little bit so that it feels longer. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so once I've got that dealt with, which feels okay to me, then we can come in with our chalk and we can start blocking in not the shadow but the light. Okay, now this is very important, so pay attention to me. If I just bear down, like that, which is the number one mistake that I see people do, I'm not going to be able to get my lighter lights because light can't go on top of light. Does that make sense? Are there lighter areas in that skull? Areas that are whiter? Yeah. So for instance, if I look at this little line right here, and you can kind of see a halo of light running along the top of it, not to mention around the oculus, not to mention that there are areas where there are textures that are brighter and lighter. This is much lighter than anything that's happening in here. Are you following me? There are areas in the teeth that are closer to white, which means that all of this is what? Not white. Does that make sense? So if I act like an idiot and I just color it in like a little baby child who whines and cries, I'm backing myself into a corner. Does that make sense? So don't treat it like a coloring book. Work, in this case, from a much grayer tone into a much lighter tone. Whereas when we're working with black on white, we're working from a grayer tone into a much darker tone. Does that make sense? So you've got to think about it in the same terms. Wherever you start, you got to think gray, middle to light, middle to black. Does that make sense? You chose the wrong pants to wear today.
I chose the wrong outfit.
So if I do this, and I use very little pressure, am I getting a white? No. What am I getting?
Gray.
I'm getting a gray tone. And of course, if it's black, like that crack right through there, I want to work on either side of it. And here it's really dark, but out here it's a little bit lighter. As it goes back in there, I want to leave it dark, right? Because it's dark as it goes underneath here. Where did Caitlin go?
Hey, how come white charcoal is harder to like smudge/blend than black?
Okay. Can I ask a question, though?
Yeah.
You promise you won't receive this as if I'm being critical or mean?
I don't want to promise that.
Have I smeared it?
No, I just.
So why are you asking me?
Because I, for personal experience, I think that black charcoal is like easier to blend.
I'm watching this later. For my time.
I'm just gonna watch the video as if I didn't come to class.
Did you watch the video that we recorded the other day?
I inspired you to record that video, so yes, I did watch it. A student, aka Caitlin, asked me to record a class.
Did I say that?
You should have said Caitlin, should have done a shout out.
Still too high.
It's fine.
Yeah. All right. So now, once I've done this, I can prove that Thala is completely wrong. Do you notice how I'm cross contouring? Huh?
Yes. I saw your hand. I saw your hand. I wasn't even making your hand. Julian, I'm sorry.
Who hates you?
Oh my goodness.
What do you think, Addison?
Wilson, have you tried Twisted Tea?
So what? Say what?
Nothing.
Addison, you're not answering my question.
God, what's the answer? Or what's the question? Are you a turkey or a ham kind of person on Thanksgiving?
Turkey.
Hand turkey.
You gotta do it right.
Oh, no, turkey's good, but some people don't know how to
Did you
make
just want
it.
to call the possums out? Because I'm having more possums show up at my townhouse. I already named one Craig. I can't name the other ones, Craig 2, 3, 4.
No, you can the other one Marshall.
Name the other one Wilson.
Mr. Wilson, how many art pants do you have? I know those are your art pants because they're always dirty.
Not enough.
Professor, did you say pecan or pecan?
I like pumpkin pie with ice
That was
cream.
He did not answer the question.
All right, so everybody understands this particular
What's
phase.
the white block?
Yes.
What not to do. Maybe
Were
if
you not
you-
paying attention?
She was out of the room.
Susie, I know how to really want to go.
Maybe you should go watch the video.
All right, so now I've got this. I can come in.
Concretize.
Is that even a word that he wants to
Yes.
That's it. Yes.
Oh my God.
Do you even know what words are before you say them?
No, he actually got it right this time. That's why I'm not it is. He Yeah, that's why I'm like, okay,
Oh
what
my
does it mean?
gosh, guys.
There's
I
concretize in there.
I like using Wilson's words.
Now, do I need to deal with all of these holes?
That's like the first.
She-
Definitely
she-
first year.
Concretize, can I have that in a sentence?
Wise
It's okay,
words
it's just
with
for me.
Wilson. Oh.
Wilson
I
has
said
given me the
stupid.
wise words that are not so good.
Strawberry milk.
Can somebody get me an eraser?
I mean, I could.
Ooh.
The depth. Oh, looks so good.
So that's the big eraser?
Actually, looks really nice.
Big and small if possible.
See that? Nice. Oh.
I'm gaining a little more territory there, which is good. Thank you. And then I can start to blend in a little bit on top of that.
So you're using like a little bit more pressure for that one?
A lot more pressure.
Or these are just bunch of sheets.
But when I blend it, what
It
happens?
goes that way.
It turns grayer again,
Oh yeah. Okay.
which I need, because I need a step from that initial tone into my new tone. And, what Kelly was just referring to here, like that does really look satisfying. With the teeth, I would probably start with just kind of a grayer block rhythm. The teethies.
I remember as a kid, I lost my tooth and I accidentally dropped it down the sink and I cried so much because I was like,
I'm not gonna use anything with a tooth fairy. Oh my god, how will she know? And I'll say, she'll know. She'll know.
still got money that I.
No,
Caitlin, you know the tooth fairy's not real.
we get it though.
So do you guys see how that's starting to become more dimensional looking?
Yep.
Yep. The more that I kind of layer, the more dynamic it will get.
Santa isn't real.
I thought there'd be more skulls in this class.
No, it's because you told her the tooth fairy.
Well, that's one of the problems with me teaching on both campuses. I have my main
Main skulls.
grouping of skulls up there, so I can't tote them back and forth. They're too fragile.
You get pulled over, thing full of skulls and ribs and.
Can you please explain? Or teach
I'm
you?
teaching in class. We're actually drawing them.
So it's like that was what, my third layer?
Yes.
Or-
That was your
No,
It was like
That was great.
and then, coming in and heightening, and then starting to deal with some of that texture is only gonna happen if I have what? Gray underneath. Like, see how I can make marks on that and start to get the kind of textures that I need
Have that foundation.
because I have a foundation that is grayer. Now, I'm kind of purposely demonstrating just using the white charcoal at first, or chalk at first. This is actually not even charcoal, it's Conti crayon.
That's cool.
Wait, what's the difference between the two?
The binder is different than in charcoal.
Is there white charcoal?
Yeah, there's pastel, which is more like charcoal.
It's not that great though.
This has a waxier binder, which you'll be surprised about as you use it, because it's very powdery. You see how I'm able to get much more detail and dimensionality by continually heightening with light. Now we can also come back, like right there where it's a little grayer or a darker gray. And we can start to,
It looks like as you're racing it, you're putting in like black marks.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like he's doing like very some charcoal.
So obviously, like at this point, I'm starting to erase out what tertiary, right? Tertiary marks
Why is the body satisfied?
Because he's drawing.
and cracks and stuff like that, right? Put that in the wrong place. You're following me.
Yay.
Are we gonna use black charcoal on this or no?
What? Aw. Oh my god,
What?
aw.
What?
This is a white chalk.
Can I not ask?
See how like I just,
He's gonna chuck something at your head.
do you see how I just drew like,
Yeah, the black stuff.
It's a razor blade.
just white blocks, and now what am I doing, Joy?
Putting intentions.
Yeah, I'm like shaping it now. It's almost like you got a piece of marble that you're shaping. And then if I come in and start to do little, what do you call it? But
Etching, scratching, sketching,
Highlights.
drawing.
accents
So useless.
of white. Because the teeth, look at them. Are they white, Addison? No, they're mostly like grays and browns. Brown is a gray. So these little additions of highlight are what start to really build up the architecture in a much more dimensional way. You see what I mean? Now, to Thaw's question. And to me, this is like the pièce de résistance.
This is your favorite.
This is, to me, I mean, I love drawing white on black, but that page is not black.
Yeah,
No, it's not.
that's what I
It's,
meant.
it's like a,
Dark gray.
I wouldn't even call it a dark gray. I'd say it's more
Medium
like
gray?
a, no, not medium. It's more like a dark gray. So remember on my, remember on my value scale, you had middle gray, dark middle gray, dark gray, dark gray, dark gray,
There's no black.
and then black.
Oh, okay. No,
So this is more like a dark gray to me, or a dark middle gray. It's not that dark.
That's why I asked if we were using charcoal.
But watch this.
Because you, yeah.
It's just.
See?
Yeah.
See?
I told you.
And then like here, where this goes behind this part of the cheekbone, if I just do this, you see how the black doesn't show up as darkly over the white?
Yeah.
And to me, this is like really, to quote Kelly, the satisfying thing. Because look at how that gray performs now that it's in shadow. You see what I mean?
And the white comes out.
And yes, and the white. See how I'm reshaping this? And like even the teeth now. Using the negative space to carve out. And then coming into the cracks. I mean, you see how bomb diggity that is? Bomb diggity. I watched the dumbest movie last night.
Was it Dumb and Dumber?
No, it was a Christmas movie called Candy Cane Lane.
I watched it. It was awful.
So
I
bad.
hated it. And I love Hallmark movies. But that was
It tried really hard to be good,
yeah.
but it was just ludicrous.
Too much. I hated it.
In what way was it done?
And the actress, the main actress in it, she's such a good like Hallmark actress, but I think that role
Wait,
messed her up.
talking about Eddie Murphy's wife?
I don't know who that is.
You're the wife.
Eddie Murphy was the main male character.
The dark-haired guy.
The
Eddie
black
Murphy
guy.
is black.
Eddie Murphy's black.
Do you not know who Eddie
The
Murphy is?
comedian.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, maybe we're not talking about the same.
We're
movie.
not.
Oh my god, how do you not know Eddie Murphy?
It's okay.
Hello, have you
That
seen
old,
Morbid, right?
Mr. Wilson?
Or Coming to America?
Or Haunted Mansion.
What?
All right, so
Get out of
does this
here.
make sense to everybody?
You know the-
Cameron, does this make sense?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, wait.
So obviously I concentrated on the main skull and you shouldn't do that. I should have been bringing up the human skull and working on the background and all of that stuff simultaneously.
Wait, I have a question.
What?
If that skull is yellow, how would you differentiate that?
Well, let me ask a question. Are there areas of that? Okay, so that's a great question, actually, Todd. So
Oh,
let me ask a question. What color is the cow skull?
like a white gray.
It's stony gray.
Yeah, so
Versus that, which is more like a
Yellow.
buttery yellow neutral, right? Kind of like Cam's shirt, but a little bit yellower, right? So they're both equal in their local value. They're gray. Look at the skull. Where's white on the skull? It's very minimal. Like that little streak there, or on the top of the brow, or that little reflected light up there, or this little bump right here, or this line right here. That's the white. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So this is the thing you don't understand, that you need to understand as you move out of this class. White and black are always minority.